everybody, to this week's edition of the Dude Poll. It is week 14, y'all. End of the regular season. It's been a great year. It is time to finally recap the end of the regular season. Now, there still is games like the college football playoff and the conference championship games and the bowl games that I can still recap, and I'm going to. But this is basically getting towards the final stages of it. So I think this will be a very important ranking to keep your eyes on if you're paying attention to the playoff picture. So let's start by revealing it to you. Why not? This is the end of the regular season. I'll say that one more time because it's that important. You see teams have decided to choke themselves out of the playoff race. Teams that I thought were deserving of the playoffs didn't necessarily make it in the CFP model, but it's just the way that things go. Let's just start now. Let's start with your number 4 team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia had a nice quality win against Georgia Tech. It was a little close for comfort, and you see that Georgia Tech has left the rankings, but the way that Georgia has played, it's been so consistently amazing, I'd say. So, Georgia's definitely earned themselves a spot in this college football playoff. The situation that they were in the beginning of the year, I thought was much worse comparatively to now, but, you know, people were made to be surprised, and Georgia decided to go out and get the 4 seed. Slide one more down, you got the Ole Miss Rebels, and this is a quick one. I just want to mention, they would have been number 4. They would have been number 3, potentially. But there was one thing that did happen that kind of screwed over their entirety of their program's trajectory. And of course, that was Lane Kiffin leaving. Now, it's a very complicated situation, and I don't necessarily want to dive head first into it, but I will say it is kind of surprising to me that it took him that long, but I kind of knew there was definitely a chance, but in my heart, I always knew that that was going to happen eventually. So, unfortunately for Ole Miss, he had to go down a spot for that. Number 8 team in the country, where Texas A&M decided to, just completely throw away everything they had. They just got whipped by Texas. Arch Manning has come out, and he's starting to look very good. Took him a little bit, but, things do happen, Just, they better fix it up when they're playing the playoffs, Texas A&M. They have such a good trajectory. I'll say that one more time. They still do. I will say 12-0 looks a whole lot better on the resume than 11-1 does. So, A&M, sorry. Your 11 team in the country is the Vanderbilt Commodores, and this is one of those teams where I did say there was a little bit of discrepancy when it comes to the college football playoff. In comparison, I think they're very close to making it in. But the committee doesn't agree with me. They had a nice win against Tennessee. That was the big point of it. It was fairly close for a little bit, and then just Diego Pavia went boom, 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 and the team just kind of flew away from the Vols. It was a great job, a great season for everybody involved. Diego's probably going to end up in New York at the end of the year, and just overall, I'm very impressed with how well Vanderbilt has played. I thought they were going to be one of those 13th to 11th teams in the conference, but they've decided to blow out all my expectations. They've done a great job, and I personally believe they deserve the playoffs, but I don't think they should get mad if they go to the Citrus Bowl or something. Just, good job, Clark Lee. You've done a great job at Vanderbilt. 15 is Oklahoma, and I guarantee you right now, I dropped them too far. Just, at the time, it was a little egregious because, I saw them play really close against LSU, and I saw Utah doing good, and James Madison doing good, and Alabama doing good, and Vanderbilt doing good, and Oklahoma just kind of end up falling. Now, I just think they deserve the playoffs, but this is just purely a power rankings. And the way they played against LSU was nowhere near excusable. They went 11-1. I get that, but there's no way you should be playing a team like LSU that badly. LSU's not a good team. Let me just get that out there right now. I mean, I had them number 1, number 2 for a long time there, but just as the season has gone on, they've just been deflating like a tire, and it's been so sad to see. Just, good job, Oklahoma. You're going to make the playoffs. Just, you better not happen what happens against LSU. Let's go one more down. You got Texas, and just Arch Manning coming along nice. Very solid win against Texas A&M. They dominated that game and out-physical the number 3 team in the country. Good job. I'm going to say that again. Gotta give props to these teams that they do well, but there's no way they should be making the playoffs as a 9-3 team. We can't even fit enough 10-2s in this year. So, congrats on the good season, Texas. Congrats on Arch Manning developing, but that's all you got. Slide down one more row, you got the Arizona Wildcats, and they've just decided to be the most under-the-radar team in college football this year. They're 9-3. They legitimately had a college football playoff opportunity if they didn't lose one of their close ones against, like, Iowa State or something. It was a really cool season to see because I've been slowly just, like, looking at them more, and I see that they've been just doing amazing. So, congrats to Arizona. I know that people won't really focus on them, but I will because they deserve it. Congrats. 23, we got the newly ranked Virginia Cavaliers. They beat Duke there in the playoffs. That's all I gotta say. And Duke is a 7-5 team. So I think on the behalf of all of who want to see the college football playoff, exist, and not on the behalf of any of the chaos scenario guys who love the G5, better beat Duke. That's all I gotta say. Seasons come to this. Teams have fallen around them, and it's given them a great opportunity. And speaking of falling around them, we've fallen out of the rankings into the honorable mentions. So why don't we go unpack them? Where we have a lot of new teams who decided to finish the season off strong and hop their way into the honorable mentions. Let's start off with some of the teams that unfortunately didn't start that strong, like Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech just kind of deflated at the end of the year. They almost lost to Boston College. They almost lost to Wake Forest. Ugh. They lost to, Louisville by 1.5 miles. Ugh. They lost to Georgia when they pretty easily could have won that game, in my opinion, although Georgia's a really good team. Ugh. That makes me more, skeptical on them. That was my favorite team to root for when it comes to, sneaky teams, but they've decided, fall back out of the rankings. So, unfortunately, back to the HMs they go. Actually, this is their first time in, so welcome to the HMs. Wake Forest, just been chilling here. I mean, they've been a very under-the-radar team. Did lose to Duke. I did debate putting Duke in here, but I didn't eventually. Wake's just had a great season they've been working on. Just, congrats, San Diego State did eventually end up finding out that they weren't in that Mountain West title game. They should have been. They're the best team in that conference because of an unfortunate loss to our next team, New Mexico. New Mexico and San Diego State were 6-6 teams at tops. I know they were both very bad, very bottom of the conference, I'm pretty sure. And they've just decided, along with Hawaii, another team, the three of them just decided to siege the palace of the Mountain West. And I believe it is crazy to me that none of the four of them ended up making it in their conference championship game. The other two were Boise State, who I don't have ranked, and UNLV, who's decided to come back with a vengeance, not falling to Nevada like the trap game I thought there would be eventually, but UNLV has continued to survive and thrive their way into the Mountain West title game. So congrats to all four of those teams for a great year and an amazing time in the Mountain West. It's a fun conference over there this year. Let's just get some of the other mainstays out the way. Pitt has a few wins, beat Georgia Tech, beat Florida State. Other sad losses to West Virginia just kept them in honorable mentions for the longest time. Along with Washington, they didn't go undefeated, which I'm pretty sure, at least 10 wins would have made them on the honorable mentions list. They're very similar to Michigan, but they lost to them, so they kept them out. Same for Iowa. Iowa's always been here. They played really tough against their good teams. Just, that's it. They haven't had a single good win outside of, the non-ranked teams. The second they play a ranked team, they lose. It's just the way that happens. You got Missouri. Missouri's, inconsistently in and out of the rankings, and just at the end of the season, there wasn't enough space. I put them back in here, actually, because they played really, really well against, who was that? Oh, yeah, they beat Arkansas, so I thought they'd be cool in here. UConn's just had a great year. Didn't have a game this week, which was kind of awkward. So, yeah, that's all I can say. 9-3 is really good for this program. They do lose their head coach to Colorado State, though. That does stink. Houston, one of the last teams we have in this list. Houston, Connor Wilkinson's been doing a great job. They've just kind of, fallen apart ever since they lost their playoff implications. And, it stinks for them. And the last team we got on this list, the last honorable mention of the regular season, you got Navy. Navy just couldn't win enough games towards the end there. There is Army-Navy week coming up in 2 weeks where they do play against Army. That would be a cool game to win, but I don't think there's any chance to get the rankings. So, that's your honorable mentions. That's your dude poll. That's the regular season. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And until I see you next time, whether it be out and about in the world, in the next YouTube video. Stay safe, happy, healthy, y'all. God bless.